In a high school in Thailand, a counselor is hearing what plans the students have for the future and scolds anyone that dreams of pursuing the arts or any unusual career. When it's Cao's turn, he explains he wants to be a professional stacking player, but the counselor scolds him as well, telling him that kind of activity has no future. Cao doesn't care about what she thinks though, and when he returns to the classroom, he keeps on practicing. At that moment, his classmate Jay enters the classroom to take care of the plants, and Cao's surprised to hear Jay trying to chat with him because he's usually ignored for being a weirdo. Jay explains she's also a weirdo and shows her support for Cao's dream because she doesn't have a big dream like him, she only wants to graduate and start a family. Over 10 years later, Cao has become a professional stacking player, impressing even kids in other countries with his amazing speed. He's still friends with Jay, and one day, he finally asks her out, wondering if she would support him while he practices to get the best national record. Jay feels that she isn't anything special because she didn't go to college, so supporting Cao could make her be part of something big. With Jay's support, Cao begins winning more competitions, but he's far from the record yet. He's also not earning any money from those wins, but if he keeps growing, he may get a sponsor someday. Cao is still living with his mother and he should be helping with her shop, but Jay's the one that takes over all his chores so he can concentrate on his training. Eventually, conditions at his mother's house become too distracting for him to concentrate, so Cao asks Jay to get a house together and split the mortgage. Jay has some savings and Cao could borrow money from his mom. At first Jay thinks this is moving too fast, but seeing Jay getting better times every week and finding a house with a beautiful bedroom for children makes her accept. When they move to the new place though, Cao doesn't understand what that bedroom is for because they aren't having babies, and a disappointed Jay allows him to keep it as his practice room. To help with the expenses, Cao takes up a job teaching about stacking to kids in a school. Jay keeps her regular job at an accounting firm and is in charge of all the chores in the house. She also takes care of her precious plants. Cao needs the perfect environment at all times, so Jay tries to make no noise at all and leaves bottles of water outside the practice room. Cao does get a new record nationally and things calm down for a while, but a year later, it's announced that the next world competition will be online and the winner can go play in the USA. Cao becomes extra obsessed with training again, and Jay gets a power from an attorney so she can take all the house decisions without needing to interrupt him. She's actually not interested in going to the USA, but she thinks supporting Jay is more important, even if her best friend Yam scolds her when she notices how stress is affecting Jay's mood. One afternoon, Jay's out shopping when she sees a baby store and can't stop herself from buying a few things. When she tells Yam about this later, Yam scolds her again, reminding her that she's already 30 and her dreams matter too, meaning she should talk to Cao. Meanwhile, Cao continues his classes at school, although he doesn't have many students. A little girl called Pai Lu keeps talking to him rather disrespectfully, but Cao plays along for the sake of the job. After class, his friend Por, who is in charge of organizing these extracurricular activities, tells him to train more because she'll be opening a betting pool for him. She also brings some worrisome news. There's a kid posting online from Colombia named Edward who already has a better time than Cao and can practice all day long because he doesn't have to work. There are only 2 months left before the competition ends, so when Cao gets home, he concentrates on training hard and ignores Jay when she requests to talk, leaving her very frustrated. The next morning, Cao's training when he suddenly begins hearing the water pump getting noisy. He asks Jay to fix it, but she doesn't reply, and Cao has to leave the room to find a huge surprise. The bottles haven't been refilled and the closet's empty, meaning Jay has finally gotten tired and left. Cao considers calling her, but he can't let drama distract him from training and decides against it. Meanwhile, Jay is staying at Yam's house, but she can't stop checking the security cameras on her phone to make sure Cao's okay. A few hours later, Cao still can't concentrate because of the noise the pump is making. He calls Por for help and she tries to explain how to do things by himself, but Cao finds it too confusing and prefers to buy a new one. However, he gets confused at the store too, feeling the clerks are trying to scam him, and since the reviews online are 50-50, he decides to finally call Jay to ask for her help. Jay can't believe she's being called for this and tries to express her feelings, like the fact she doesn't want to go to the USA, but Cao won't listen to her, and after a short argument, Jay leaves. Cao still refuses to let drama in his life, and the next time he's at work, he finally finds the solution. Metal, the school janitor. Cao takes her home for a test, and as soon as he sees her solve the problem with the pump in mere seconds, he hires her to take care of the house while he practices. That same day, Cao gets a call from Edward just to taunt him about his slowness. In the meantime, Jay goes to see a doctor to make sure she's still fertile and to start considering the option of a seed donor. At home, Cao's shining through his training thanks to Metal's assistance, especially when she brings in a driver and an English tutor to help. Cao thinks Metal's food is better and teases Jay by drinking milk in front of the camera, only to end up in the hospital because he didn't know he was allergic to cow milk. Jay visits him and points out they can't get back together because even if Cao wins, he'll leave for the USA, so she offers a deal. She'll teach him how to rely on himself, then she can go on her way without a worry. Cao accepts and from then on, Jay begins teaching him how to do all the chores around the house and how to shop for things that are good for his health. Sometimes Metal helps her as well, like when they have to force Cao to confront hot oil to make fried eggs. There's also the matter of the plants, and Jay breaks down in tears when he discovers Cal let them die, causing Cal to feel guilty and promise he'll keep an eye on them. In Colombia, Edward doesn't understand why Cal hasn't upgraded his progress in a while. His mother explains adults can't play stacking all day and they have other important things to do, which is why if Edward wins, she can't travel the world with him. This hurts Edward to hear. A week later, Cal complains about back pain, so Jay helps by sticking a pain relief patch on him, explaining there are some things that unfortunately you can't do by yourself. This makes Cal think Jay has always been mad about having to do chores alone and not wanting to go to the USA was just an excuse. Thus he apologizes to Jay and promises to help with anything she needs. Jay uses the chance to take out some paperwork for him to sign in order to sell the house, finally telling him this isn't just about the traveling, she wants a baby and a home and that doesn't match his lifestyle. Cal's willing to give up stacking to help her with her dream, but Jay turns him down, pointing out he'd be wasting all this effort and he'd be unhappy anyway. Cal still refuses to let go and burns the papers, forcing Jay to admit she only brought them to be nice and that then she'll have no choice but to use the power she acquired months ago. Jay leaves, and Cal can't go after her because he accidentally drops the papers and now he has to stop the fire from eating his carpet. Jay immediately puts the house up for sale on the internet and when it's time to show it to the first potential buyers, she finds that Cal has put up a sign saying not for sale and has changed the lock. In the meantime, Cal's slowing down in his training because he misses Jay, and Poor scolds him as she shows him Edward keeps getting better. Cal doesn't believe her when she says she really believes in him, and Poor finally admits she's bet a lot of money on him, so Cal has to promise to practice more for her sake too. When he goes home in the evening, Cal discovers Jay rechanged the lock, thanks to her power, and he has no choice but to go back to his mother's house, but this time he promises to help around the place. The next day, Cal goes with his mother to the local temple, and instead of using the time to practice, he helps her with the stairs. His mother uses the occasion to admit she comes to the temple to pray for Cal to win his competition. In the evening, Cal checks Jay's social media and sees her talking about babies all the time, so he decides he needs to get better with kids to get her back. During his next class, he tries to help a kid with his homework, but Cal isn't good at it. The boy is grateful, but this is enough to make Cal understand being a father isn't for him. Thus he calls Jay to tell her he'll help her sell the house, leaving them both in tears at the sign of this being officially over. The next time potential buyers come by, Cal tries to tell them about the house, but he's a horrible public speaker. Thankfully Metal takes over and details every great thing about the house with a convincing speech. It hurts Cal to see people wandering around his house, especially when he stares at the plants he's managed to keep alive with hard work. At that moment, he realizes he could buy Jay's half, but when he asks Poor for advice, she explains he can't get that much money in just a few days. This means Cal has to concentrate on winning the competition and getting the prize money. The next time Edward calls him, Cal quickly hangs up on him not to be bothered. While Jay begins looking for a place of her own, Cal keeps giving classes, but he's lonely and tired so he barely teaches the kids anything. After class, Pai Lu stays to admit she knows what he's going through because she overheard him talking to Poor and tries to show him there's still hope by playing a video of herself playing stacking with an excellent record time. She isn't interested in competing because this is just a hobby for her, thus Cal convinces her to teach him how to be faster. With only 2 weeks left before the competition, Pai Lu begins visiting Cal at his house to train him but they're constantly interrupted by things that need to be done around the house, like when Metal finds a snake and Cal has to call animal services. Cal explains to Pai Lu that adult life is full of responsibilities and he can't play all day long like her or Edward, but Pai Lu quickly points out this could be a team sport if he lets others help him. His mother, Metal, and Poor show up and accept to be his defense line while he trains, helping with every little detail that even including freeing some cows to get holy merit. When there are only 3 days left, the power goes out because Cal forgot to pay the bills, so he has to spend almost the whole day trying to find where to pay his debt. He manages to get the power back, but as soon as he gets home, Jay calls him to remind him today is the last day to buy mutual funds for a tax rebate. Cal thinks he won't be able to make it, but the driver and the English tutor show up to rush him to the bank and guide him through the process. At the end of the day, Cal's exhausted and he tells Pai Lu he doesn't think he can beat his record in this condition. This prompts Pai Lu to finally share her secret. When she beat her record at home, she was hearing her parents argue in the living room. The stress pushed her to keep playing to forget about everything else. Cal wonders where he can find that amount of stress when suddenly, he gets a call from the last couple that visited the house saying they've decided to buy. Then he calls Jay to give her the news, and Jay accepts to take care of it, so it isn't necessary for him to come to the land office too. This whole deal leaves Cal in a horribly stressful mood and he channels it into his next practice, managing to break the highest record and upload the video to the competition website right before the timer ends. In Colombia, Edward achieves even a better time, but he hesitates in front of the computer. Sometime later, Cal shows up at the land office for the sale of the house. Jay congratulates him for winning the competition, and Cal tells the buyers to leave before telling Jay that he wants to use the prize money to buy her half of the house. Even if they can't get back together, Cal wants to keep their memories and invites Jay to come by whenever she wants. Jay isn't sure they'll ever see each other again but appreciates the gesture, and the pair signs the papers before going their separate ways for good this time. In Colombia, Edward's mother wonders why he didn't upload his winning record, and he explains he didn't want to travel without her by his side. Later at school, Cao comes to say goodbye to Por, who is happy about all the money she made. He also asks Pai Lu to take over his classes in order for a new generation to learn about stacking. Afterward, he takes Metal to his mother's shop so she can help her while he's gone. During his last days in Thailand, Cao makes sure to do all the chores himself and to water Jay's plants in her memory. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.